Hello, my divine lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to talk about something that a lot of people are struggling with. It is the one of the biggest points of separation we have taking place on the planet right now. And that would be the vax. And the reason that I want to talk about it is because I want to take what's transpiring out of a third dimensional perspective, out of the narrative that's playing out, and bring it up into a ninth dimensional state of being through my ninth dimensional oversoul self, Faith, who is a frequency activator, intermediary, transcending humanity. So that is what Faith does, is an aspect of me that is an oversoul aspect, that is ninth dimensional. That's what Faith does best. So let's do this. If you are tuning in and you find yourself triggered thinking about the jab in any way, please close your eyes. Just breathe into your heart center, bring your consciousness down into your heart, because I promise you this perspective is going to help you see differently when it comes to those that you know who have made the decision, or you yourself, if you are struggling with the decision, whether to take it or not, or being pressured to take it by loved ones or maybe a work environment. Okay. So what I really want to bring across in this is that from a ninth dimensional perspective, the vax really represents an opportunity for each of us, each soul within us, to choose how they are going to experience this ascension process that we're in. Okay. And we've been in ascension since 2012 in a spiritual sense, and then in a very physical sense. It got very physical, starting to come into the physical in 2017 when everything started to change around October. And then it built slowly into what we are seeing now. And it's become very physicalized through this whole COVID experience that we're having. Okay. So a big part of what I want you to try to receive through this offering that I'm sharing with you is the higher ninth dimensional perspective, where we are the creator of every single thing in our reality, in every moment, in every way. Okay. And I know that many of you who've been following me for a while know that I've talked about, people showing up to block my driveway via a neighbor that I have next door who allows it and doesn't, tell his friends and family, hey, don't park in front of their driveway. It's dangerous for them to back out, whatever, because one is from one perspective, they don't really care, but from the highest perspective, it's really about me, right? And at the end of the day, I have to look at that and say, why is this occurring? Is it occurring because this guy wants to actually be mean to me? He doesn't even know me. Like, he does not even know me. I have had no interaction, doesn't know me, no spoken words, nothing. So why would this individual show up in this way? Well, it's because he's offering himself up in that moment to me for my own personal experience, for my own desire to shift more. In other words, he's going to show up and he's going to block my driveway so that I can tune into love a little deeper and hold love for him a little more, looking at it from the highest perspective, that this is an individual that doesn't see the result of his actions, or maybe is having a bad day. Maybe they're mad at somebody else, and this is how they're showing up, they're responding and they're reacting. And my only job in that moment, because I've done nothing to agitate this, I've been in the house working all day, is to look at that showing up in my reality and see, how can I go deeper within my own work? Why is this presenting? What is this allowing me to take a look at within myself? And it would be where I can hold love for another without judging them, without needing to know why they did it, without understanding, without confronting them. I had nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I didn't have to back out of my driveway in any way, shape, or form. So I continued to hold space and offer love. That's looking at it from the 9th dimensional perspective. In some way, shape, or form, my soul was asking, let's go deeper. Let's take it another step deeper. Let's create something in our reality, and we'll ask somebody else to assist and support us, something that might have triggered you in the past. And boy, yeah, I would have been triggered in the past, but now, no. So it allowed me an opportunity to go deeper and to hold love for this individual and see from my perspective that I don't have to be triggered by this, right? So it's the same thing when we're talking about the backs, because at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is how we're going to look at it. Okay. How are we going to look at it? How are we going to look at something that is being pushed out there, that is being enforced, that is being mandated, that is appearing scary? And then you have all of these well-meaning individuals sharing information that makes it even scarier, pulling apart what the contents are and what the contents are not, and giving it from this really scary perspective. But if we look at the third dimension, we know the third dimension is scary, right? I mean, you have to say that because it holds duality in its polarized field, right? Polar opposites. We can have a dualistic experience. So if there's something good, there's going to be something bad. We have something that is right, then there's going to be something that's wrong, right? So every time we do an act of kindness, there's someone committing murder, right? So think about that. So 3D allows for all of those things. It allows for the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? Because that's just how that field works. So a lot of stuff that's been created in that 3D polarized field has put us in the position we're in today on a global level, where humanity is suffering within its own separation. So we've been playing out this role of hierarchical, patriarchal abuse of power for a very, very long time, for centuries and centuries, unaware as to our own contributing factor in it, okay? So we have to look at it from the perspective that if it was created, the jab was created in a 3D environment, and we're perceiving it through the things that we're hearing as being something bad. It's got all of these different aspects to it, mRNA, nanoparticles, all kind of stuff like that. Then we have to look at it and we have to say, okay, but if it was created in 3D and 3D holds duality, then if I desire to choose the experience where it's not a bad thing, I can have that experience also, because in the polarized field, I have the option for good or bad. I have the option for right or wrong, okay? So, which is why we can have such negative experiences or bad experiences and then spiral out of control and not be able to get back out of that rabbit hole, right? With everything in life, like a bad breakup puts you in a state of turmoil and despair, and you keep going because you're only focused on the negative. That's law of attraction at play. So if you look at law of attraction says whatever you're vibrating at, whatever you're resonating at, that is what is going to be the vibrational match presenting to you. Wherever you are in your vibration is what is going to present as the vibrational match for you. So if we continue to hold a lower, negative, lesser value to getting the jab, then the experience getting it is going to be bad, right? It's going to make us sick, and we may have all kinds of reactions and responses to it. However, if we look at it from a higher perspective and we think it's not going to harm us, I'm doing it so I can attain my own personal freedom, so that I don't have to constantly be challenged every time I try to travel or try to see loved ones who might be holding fear toward getting COVID. I might feel my own personal freedom in getting it because I know I can take it into the 5D and higher timeline, the ninth dimensional timeline, and transform what's in it to something that's more in alignment with my own true desire. So in other words, if it has something in it that has the potential to make me sick, I could see it as not having the potential to make me sick, but can see it as having the potential to make me super transformed, super conscious, to blow open my consciousness. And that would be a ninth dimensional perspective, because we're looking at it from the highest state of being and saying, if I am the creator of my reality and I'm creating everything that's in my reality, then I'm creating everything. I'm creating my reaction to everything. I'm creating my response to everything. I'm creating how something impacts me in my life, in my reality. I'm creating all of it, whether I'm aware that I'm creating it or not, because this is a virtual reality that we're playing in. It's like a simulation, and our thoughts are what is creating the visual effect of what we're experiencing. And when we start to realize that, man, everything can change, right? So let me give you a for instance. So while I know stories of people and people who are not doing well having taken the jab, and are suffering with it, it would be because the reason behind taking it might not have been in the highest state, knowing themselves as a divine transmuter of all distortion, right? Divinely capable of transmuting all and any distortion in that jab. And then I know other people who have come to counsel with me to say, hey, I have to take it. I feel called to take it. I have to see my loved one, and they won't see me if I don't take it, or I can't lose my job. I'm the only sole provider for my children and I just can't. And they've come to me and they said, what do I do? And I say, well, can you take it and can you bring it into your ninth dimensional self? Can you bring it into your God consciousness where there is no bad, there is no wrong, and only see it as something positive that will allow you to access the freedom that you feel within yourself if you get it, so that you can freely go on about your day, about your business, and let it go and not have to think about it ever again? And the answer is, yeah, I believe I could do that because it feels like it's what I need to do. And I say, yes, then if you must go get it with the highest intention possible. In other words, hold it in the ninth dimensional state, in your God self, in your God consciousness, and get it with that. Surrounding it with golden light, surrounding yourself with golden light, and imagine an infusion of golden light as you are getting it. And then you've brought it up into a ninth dimensional state of being where you know it is not going to do you harm because you are using it to transmute the distortion of 3D and the narrative that is playing out. Do you see that? That is so important to understand. And then I have a friend of mine, a very, very good friend, this divine, beautiful, beautiful sister of the light. We met many, many years ago when we were both on our ascension journey in the early part of ascension. And when I met her, she was a galactic channel and working as a social worker, and she still works as a social worker. And because of her job and her family and the pressure from her husband and the kids and her parents and everybody else around her, okay, she lives in Minnesota, which was a very heavy, dense state. It's like New York. And because of this pressure around her and people pleading with her, begging her to get it for the purpose that they could commune with her and she could see them and everybody could support each other through this separation, this division that we're all experiencing. She sat in her power and sat with herself and counseled with herself and counseled higher than herself and brought herself into a ninth dimensional state. And she went in August and she got the jab. And today we were having a conversation, and when she shared that with me, she said, "You have no idea, it's actually blown open my third eye, and I'm having these amazing visitations during dream state, and like this amazing stuff is happening, and I'm feeling myself so much more ascended in my consciousness than I ever did before." And she said, "I think I transmuted it to create a pathway for myself where I took it into the higher timeline, and I was able to access these higher states of consciousness within me because I could see it as being a tool to help access my own feelings of freedom, so that I didn't have to deal with the judgment of others and the feelings of restriction." And I transmuted all of that and said, well, I had judgment. She held a lot of judgment to getting it. We talked about it all the time, and she had a lot of fear. Oh, she had a lot of fear. And we would talk about that all the time. And she would call me occasionally and say, I just watched your video, and your video has helped me so much. It's really helped me to understand. It's really helped me to transmute fear. And so she shared with me today that it was because of my video that talked about this, except not in as depth as I'm going today, that she was able to do it and receive it successfully and use it to actually activate more of her God consciousness and free herself from the entanglement, the entrapment of the 3D narrative, which is amazing because she could not do that before. She couldn't do that by herself. And even though she was doing A Course in Miracles and some other people's work, it would always come back to the fear that she held within herself. And it was a fear of what is going to play out in my reality, because fear can be very real, although it's not real, right? And so when she shared this with me, and she was sharing her amazing experiences that she's having in sleep state with her third eye being so super open and this new consciousness and herself feeling so ascended, she said, I can't believe I was able to offer myself this opportunity and access this part of myself. And I said, yeah, it's because you saw that getting that jab as a way out of the lower level distortion for you, so that it would become a non-issue. It would become a non-issue in your field. Okay. And so when she shared this with me, she said, please feel free to share my story so that others could understand the struggle was real for me. But if we take it into the highest timeline, into the highest perspective, and transmute the distortions surrounding it, then it can't impact us in a negative way, because it's our story. At the end of the day, it's my story about me. It's your story about you. It's her story about her, right? And then also from that ninth dimensional perspective, keeps coming the same information over and over and over again, that every single soul on this planet is using it in whatever way is in the highest, most aligned way for them. And that highest, most aligned way could be using it as a tool, as a vehicle to exit the earth plane, to exit their physical experience. That is in truth, because that's how the soul operates. We as humans have a hard time understanding that or seeing that when it's a loved one and we're feeling this immense sense of loss to losing that individual. But it doesn't have to be through the jab they leave. It could be something as simple as stubbing their toe and developing gangrene, and then the infection of gangrene goes to their heart very quickly and creates an infection in the heart, and then they exit the earth plane through that infection. So do you see that the soul uses whatever means necessary? It can use whatever means necessary to exit the earth plane for the experience that it is needing to have in this experience, in this incarnation. That is how it works, right? So when we look at it from that highest perspective, we have to really see that we are that powerful, that we are the creator of all of it. Because in the higher timelines, that's how it works. We're constantly choosing realities that we desire to play in. Good, bad, right, or wrong. And the longer we stay playing in the duality, polarity of 3D, the more challenging it's going to become, because we're not wanting to see beyond our resistance to shifting. And it is that resistance that we're holding to shifting away from what we've always been comfortable knowing into knowing something completely different about ourselves, right? It's very hard sometimes to look at it from that perspective. But another piece of the conversation that my friend Jill and I had was that if we look at ourselves from the understanding of the awareness that we are not our body, right? We are not our body. We are so much more than our body. If we could see that our body could transmute everything and anything, we would never judge our body as being simplistic or not capable. Never, ever. I had cancer twice, and I beat it. It's gone. It's done. Never coming back again, because I knew once I transmuted the second time, I was done with that story, right? I didn't have to be a victim to it, which meant I wasn't going to be a cancer survivor, because that all plays out in the 3D narrative, that storyline of being a survivor. We're not surviving anything. Cancer doesn't have that kind of power over us, okay? I have news for you. It does not have power over us. From the moment that I was told that I had cancer, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And my higher self was like, you step into new shoes and you keep it moving, because this is how it's going to be. And you're not looking back, and you're not having a pity party. You're going to look at yourself, and you're going to walk through this with grace and ease. And you're not going to feel sorry for yourself, because you're going to see the opportunity presenting here as an opportunity to shift. It's an opportunity, it's a crisis in my life to shift me. And it did. It did. I used it as a tool. I used cancer as a tool, right? Got me into the higher states of consciousness. And we could do that now with everything that's presenting. And I mean everything from soup to nuts, everything A to Z. It doesn't matter what it is. We have an opportunity to use it and transmute the distortion that we hold into the highest states of being, because our body does not define us. I have news for you. Okay. You may have heard me say that I eat mostly vegetarian. I eat mostly vegetarian, a little bit of fish here and there. Why don't I eat meat? I don't feel called to anymore. It just doesn't resonate with me anymore. And that's the only reason I don't eat it. Otherwise, I'd probably still be eating meat, because I'm a believer that we're going to eat what our body needs until we no longer need to eat that anymore. Okay. And also the same thing with food and water. We have the power to transmute any distortion that is in our food and our water. Okay. I will tell you, I was a kid growing up eating TV dinners most of my years while both parents worked. And I don't have aluminum toxicity poisoning. There is nothing wrong with me. As a matter of fact, I will say I probably used it to keep opening my ascension column up, right? And ascending the higher consciousness. We can use it and step into fear, or we can use it and we can transmute any distortion. The difference is we have to actively participate in that. We have to be an observer to everything, to see everything for its potential. When my friend Jill in Minnesota and I were talking, we were both talking about how important it is to see everything, be an observer of everything, be a witness to everything. Okay, so I just wanted to offer you this perspective, because I know so many are struggling out there, and there's so many judgments as do the right thing, and then others saying, oh, this is not in alignment for me. Well, I just want to say that if it ever came down to it, and it came down, push came to shove, I don't see that happening. I think that this is a choice that we are all making, and that we all have the ability to make a decision for ourselves where we reside with this. But if you feel that this is a must for you because of certain pressures, then please take it into the ninth dimensional state of being, into your God source self, and see it as something that could be used as a tool to amplify your ascension, something that could be used as a tool to amplify your conscious state of being, as my friend Jill Grace has done. Because when I tell you, she's always been an amazing, beautiful, divine soul who has, in the beginning, when I first met her, she was someone that I looked up to, and I wanted to channel, and I wanted to connect higher. And so, it's nice to know that my work has now helped her, where her work helped me when, we first met back in the day. And so it's really nice to have that connection with somebody, and we've grown through this together. And maybe, our views, because one holding fear and the other holding love, had brought us into different places with our view and how we were looking at things. But then coming back together again to see the oneness, the wholeness in all of this, and understanding there is not one single thing on this earth that can hurt or harm any of us. And everything that is transpiring, everything, and I will say this 1,000 times over and over and over again, everything is based on the soul's experience. What did it desire to experience coming in? I don't care what it is. It's based on the soul. I can tell you, had I not gone through the history of my life that I've gone through, you can read about on my website. I don't want to talk about it here because I've talked about it until it's beat down, it's dead, right? Has no purpose. And it's just a story that I don't need to bring in here because that's not about this, but you can read it on my website. But if I didn't have any of those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. If I hadn't had cancer, I'm grateful I had cancer because it helped me transmute fear. It helped me transmute distortion. It helped me see my body in a way that I've never looked at my body before. It's helped me see that everything and anything is possible. Let me say that again. Everything and anything is possible. Whatever your heart is desiring is possible. If you are not seeing yourself as free, it's only because you perceive yourself as not being free. We're all free. And if you need something to make you feel free, then whatever it is, do that. Whatever it is, get that. Whatever it is, be that, so that you can feel your freedom and activate those freedom codes within you. Because if that's going to make you feel free, do it. Do it. Absolutely do it. Okay? It's very, very important. And we all have something that we have to move beyond the limitations that we've imposed on ourselves. We grew up in a 3D polarized field that has such an enmeshed entanglement that sometimes you don't know which way is up, right? But what I do know is tuning inward, going inward and seeing what's right for you, like I do with myself. What is right for me? Going inward, tuning inward, that's where the answers are going to come from. That's what you need to do. That's what we need to do. Okay? Let go of the judgments. The judgment is just keeping you in the game of duality in the polarized field of 3D. That's what judgment is doing. When you're judging another, you're judging yourself, and it's all fear. You're transmuting fear. So let go of the judgments. Be you, do you, whatever is in the highest alignment for you, but do not do something just because somebody else is telling you you have to. Do it because it's really aligned with what you are wanting to do. It's aligned with what's in your heart. Otherwise, it's going to be a negative impact. You have to do what you feel fully aligned with. In other words, my friend Jill, before getting the jab, decided that she was going to really sit with it, really heal the distortion, really heal the fear that she was feeling. And then she went and got it. And she just transmuted it into the highest realms and used it to benefit herself in the most amazing ways. Her stories are amazing of what she's experienced. And she is not using edibles. She's not smoking weed. She's not doing any of that stuff. Okay. This is because she gave herself permission to be free. That's it. Bottom line. I can't even credit the Vax for that. Okay. I can't even give it credit because this is her. It's all her. She gave herself permission to be free, to be highly aligned, to be a supernova, to be source consciousness. Do you see? It was merely a tool for her, a stepping stone for her to step into that ascended state. All right. So think about your choices, bring them into your highest alignment, see them from a ninth dimensional perspective. Know that everything is here to assist and support us. There is nothing here that is going to take us down or take us offline unless we perceive it to be true, unless we perceive it to be so. All right. So bring this into the highest state of being, counsel with your ninth dimensional self, and make your decisions from there. All right. But again, I'll say what I've been saying, and you've heard me say it if you've been watching my videos. My team, my higher self, my oversoul Faith, who's a ninth dimensional oversoul, has told me for months, for a long time now, for almost a year, that it's a placebo. And each soul is using it in the way that that soul needs to use it for that experience in being human. That's it. That's how it works. All right? That's the highest perspective. Take that, use it, be love always, be light, hold the light, offer yourself as a conduit for others to see. Let go of judgments, especially of the self. And most importantly, have a magical, wonderful, whatever it is that you're doing, and know that I love you so, so, so very much. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I will see you back here again soon. Oh, the community posts have opened. Yay! So please check out the community boards, because I will be sharing a lot of stuff there that if you don't follow me anywhere, you're going to get a lot of stuff here. All right. So I'm so excited about that. So love you guys. See you soon. Take care.